A new Chief Health Officer with new news. Very little of it positive.
I think it's very clear now that there is a community transmission issue in Melbourne.
So much so, National Cabinet has commissioned an inquiry into hotel quarantine in every state.
That will be undertaken by the former Health Secretary, Jane Holton. She currently sits on the COVID Commission.
There have been a lot of people have come into hotel quarantine. There have been very few breaches, but we've seen, as has been reported in Victoria, a single breach, even if it's low risk, can lead to a catastrophic outcome.
The inquiry looking at everything from infection prevention to compliance, management of cases and the treatment of vulnerable people, in order to support a system many are blaming in part for Victoria's current outbreak. National Cabinet has agreed to cap the number of Australians returning home each week by half.
It is a reduction of over 4,000 people coming each week, and that's spread across those ports and of entry, and that'll take effect from Monday.
The PM conceding it will be more difficult for some to get back.
It will be more difficult because there will be a reduction in the available capacity for people to be coming back to Australia.
Soon they will also be asked to pay for their own quarantine costs too, with states and territories sick of footing the bill when Australians abroad were told to come home in March. Meanwhile, masks have been recommended for Melburnians, but not across Australia just yet.
It's not a broad application across the country, but in designated areas that have been affected in the way that they have in those parts of Victoria. That is the advice, and that was adopted by National Cabinet today.
The overarching message is don't be complacent with your hygiene. You might love your family, you might trust your family, but that doesn't mean you should touch your family if they come to visit.
It's still not okay for hugs and handshakes.
We are all at risk, regardless of whether we're living in Perth, if we're living in a rural area.
The opposition continues to push the government for what will happen when the JobKeeper subsidies end in September, calling the coalition secretive for holding on to its review and response until July 23.
Scott Morrison's plan for snapback will snap jobs in this community. It will snap the spirit of this community, and the community simply can't afford it.
They are saying things that are blatantly untrue. I've made it very clear that there would be a further stage of income support, and to make people feel more uncertain in this climate, I think is disgraceful.
Just how much assistance will be wound back remains to be seen. Jonathan Lee, Sky News, Canberra.